One of the quietest yet most powerful habits that makes some seniors happier than others is learning to protect their own inner pace instead of constantly chasing everyone else's timeline. During earlier stages of life, many people feel pressure to meet expectations that come from work, family, friends, or society. There is often a belief that success means staying busy, saying yes to every request, achieving more, or keeping up with what others are doing. As the years pass, however, many emotionally healthy older adults begin to realize that lasting happiness rarely comes from constantly trying to match someone else's schedule. Instead, they discover that peace grows when daily life reflects their own values, priorities, and emotional needs. This shift is supported by well-established ideas in psychology, which suggest that people experience greater well-being when their choices are guided by intrinsic motivation, the things that genuinely matter to them, rather than by external approval or comparison. Imagine two retirees living in the same neighborhood. One fills every week with social events, volunteer commitments, errands, and favors because he fears disappointing people or appearing inactive. His calendar is full, yet he often feels exhausted and secretly wishes for more quiet time. The other retiree chooses his activities with intention. He enjoys a morning walk, meets a close friend for coffee once a week, volunteers at a local library twice a month, and leaves space for reading, gardening, or simply enjoying a peaceful afternoon. His life may look less busy from the outside, but emotionally it feels richer, because his time reflects what truly brings him fulfillment, rather than what others expect. Protecting your inner pace does not mean becoming isolated or refusing to help loved ones. It means recognizing that your energy is valuable, and that every commitment deserves thoughtful consideration. Seniors who develop this habit often become better communicators because they are comfortable saying, "I'd love to help, but I need to rest today," or "Let's plan for another day when I can give you my full attention." These responses are honest, respectful, and much healthier than agreeing out of guilt and later feeling overwhelmed or resentful. Family members and friends usually appreciate clear communication because it creates realistic expectations and reduces unnecessary tension. Another important benefit is that living at your own pace allows you to notice life's small joys that often disappear when every moment is scheduled. A slow breakfast, a meaningful conversation with a neighbor, watching birds in the backyard, or taking time to reflect after a pleasant phone call can become deeply satisfying experiences. These moments may seem ordinary, but together they create a steady sense of emotional balance that cannot be measured by a busy calendar. Comparison also becomes less powerful when people stop racing through life. Instead of wondering why someone else travels more, spends more money, or appears more active, happier seniors begin asking a different question. Does my life feel meaningful to me? That simple change in perspective reduces unnecessary stress, because fulfillment is no longer measured by appearances, but by personal contentment. Everyone's circumstances are different. Some older adults enjoy active community involvement, while others prefer quieter routines at home. Neither approach is automatically better than the other. What matters is choosing a rhythm that matches your personality, health, relationships, and priorities, rather than trying to imitate someone else's lifestyle. A practical way to build this habit is to pause at the end of each week and reflect on which activities left you feeling energized and which ones left you emotionally drained. Over time, this awareness makes it easier to protect your time, strengthen healthy boundaries, and invest more energy in the people and experiences that genuinely enrich your life. The happiest seniors are often not the busiest or the most accomplished. They are the ones who have quietly learned that life becomes more peaceful when they stop running according to everyone else's clock and start living according to their own thoughtful, balanced, and deeply personal rhythm. Many of the happiest seniors develop a quiet habit that often goes unnoticed but has an extraordinary impact on both their emotional well-being and their relationships. They practice emotional editing before they speak. This does not mean suppressing feelings, pretending everything is fine, or avoiding difficult conversations. Instead, it means creating a brief pause between an emotional reaction and a verbal response, allowing wisdom to guide the conversation rather than impulse. Psychology has long recognized that emotional regulation is one of the most important skills for maintaining healthy relationships, especially as people experience the many changes that come with aging. Emotions themselves are not the problem. They are natural signals that tell us something matters. The challenge is deciding how and when to express those emotions in a way that strengthens connection instead of creating unnecessary conflict. Many seniors who enjoy peaceful relationships have learned that not every irritation deserves a response. Not every disagreement requires correction, and not every opinion needs to be spoken immediately. For example, imagine a grandfather whose adult son forgets to return a phone call. His first emotional reaction might be disappointment or frustration, leading him to think, "He doesn't care about me anymore." But instead of immediately expressing hurt or making assumptions, he pauses and considers other possibilities. Perhaps his son had an unusually busy day, was dealing with an unexpected problem at work, or simply lost track of time. When they finally speak, the grandfather chooses curiosity instead of accusation by saying, "I was thinking about you yesterday. Everything okay?" That single choice changes the tone of the conversation completely. Instead of creating guilt or defensiveness, it opens the door to understanding and genuine connection. This habit is especially valuable in family relationships, where different generations often have different communication styles and life pressures. Adult children, grandchildren, siblings, and friends all carry responsibilities that may not always be visible. By slowing down before reacting, emotionally wise seniors avoid turning small misunderstandings into lasting tensions. This thoughtful approach also encourages others to communicate more openly because they feel safe rather than judged. Communication research consistently suggests that people listen more carefully when they do, not feel attacked, criticized, or forced to defend themselves. Seniors who understand this often become trusted listeners because others know they will receive thoughtful responses instead of quick judgments. Emotional editing also benefits the person practicing it. Constantly reacting to every annoyance keeps the mind focused on problems and drains emotional energy that could be spent on meaningful experiences. Choosing responses carefully reduces unnecessary stress and creates a greater sense of personal control. This does not mean ignoring serious issues. Important concerns, unhealthy behavior, or repeated disrespect should still be addressed honestly and respectfully. The difference is that emotionally healthy seniors choose the right moment, the right words, and the right attitude rather than speaking in the heat of frustration. A practical way to strengthen this habit is to silently ask yourself 3 simple questions. Before responding, am I reacting to facts or assumptions? Will these words improve the relationship? Is this the best time to say what I'm thinking? And even taking a few extra seconds to reflect can prevent conversations from becoming arguments. Over time, this small pause becomes a powerful habit that builds trust, reduces conflict, and creates more peaceful relationships. People naturally feel drawn to those who communicate with patience, kindness, and emotional time, because they create an atmosphere where honest conversations feel safe. The happiest seniors often understand that true wisdom is not measured by always having the right answer, but by knowing when to speak, how to speak, and when a calm response will accomplish far more than an immediate reaction ever could. Another silent habit that makes many seniors noticeably happier is their commitment to small, daily rituals that create emotional stability, even when life feels uncertain. These rituals are rarely dramatic or impressive from the outside, yet they quietly shape the way people think, feel, and respond to everyday challenges. As people grow older, life often brings significant transitions such as retirement, children moving away, changes in health, or the loss of longtime friends and loved ones. While no routine can remove these realities, healthy aging research suggests that consistent daily habits provide a sense of structure, predictability, and emotional security that helps people adapt more successfully to change. Many emotionally resilient seniors understand that happiness is not built only through major achievements or exciting events, but through ordinary moments repeated with purpose. Imagine beginning each morning with 10 peaceful minutes on the porch, enjoying a warm cup of coffee while listening to birds instead of immediately checking the news or scrolling through a phone. That simple routine may seem insignificant, but it gently prepares the mind for the day ahead by reducing unnecessary stress and creating a calm, emotional starting point. Another senior might take a short walk through the neighborhood every afternoon, greet familiar faces, notice seasonal changes in nature, and return home feeling mentally refreshed. Someone else may spend a few minutes reading an inspiring book before bed, writing down one thing they appreciated that day, or calling a close friend every Sunday evening. None of these habits require large amounts of money, special talent, or perfect health, yet together they become anchors that provide comfort and emotional balance over time. Psychology recognizes that repeated positive experiences help strengthen healthy thought patterns and reduce feelings of uncertainty. Familiar routines also conserve mental energy, because they remove the need to constantly make decisions about every part of the day. This allows more attention to be focused on meaningful relationships, enjoyable activities, and personal growth instead of daily chaos. These rituals can also strengthen a person's sense of identity after retirement or other major life changes. Many people spend decades identifying themselves through careers, parenting responsibilities, or busy schedules. When those roles change, some struggle with questions about purpose and direction. Daily rituals quietly answer those questions by reminding people that they still have meaningful ways to contribute to their own well-being and to the lives of others. Relationships also benefit from consistent traditions. A weekly family dinner, a regular video call with grandchildren, a monthly breakfast with an old friend, or an evening walk with a spouse creates dependable moments of connection that gradually deepen trust and closeness. Often, it is these simple, repeated experiences, rather than expensive vacations or grand celebrations, that become the memories families treasure most. It is important to remember that everyone's ideal routine is different. One person may feel energized by gardening, while another finds peace through painting, volunteering, prayer, music, reading, or gentle exercise. The goal is not to copy someone else's habits, but to discover small practices that genuinely support your own emotional well-being. A practical way to begin is by choosing just one positive ritual and repeating it at the same time, each day for several weeks. Over time, that simple action becomes part of your emotional foundation, making stressful days easier to manage and joyful days even more meaningful. The happiest seniors often understand that a peaceful life is rarely created through constant excitement. Instead, it grows quietly through small, consistent habits that bring calm, purpose, and stability one ordinary day at a time. One of the most overlooked habits that makes some seniors happier than others is their ability to remain genuinely curious about people instead of assuming they already know everything about them. After decades of marriage, friendship, parenting, or working alongside others, it is easy to believe that the important conversations have already happened and that there is nothing new left to discover. However, one of the most valuable lessons from relationship psychology is that human beings continue to grow, change, and develop throughout every stage of life. Personal experiences, health changes, retirement, becoming a grandparent, losing loved ones, learning new skills, or simply gaining wisdom through everyday living can all reshape a person's beliefs, priorities, and emotions. Emotionally healthy seniors recognize this reality. So instead of relying on old assumptions, they approach relationships with fresh curiosity and a willingness to keep learning about the people they love. This simple habit transforms communication because it replaces certainty with genuine interest. For example, imagine a grandmother who notices that her adult granddaughter has become quieter during family gatherings. Instead of immediately assuming she is being distant or uninterested, she gently asks, "You've seemed a little quieter lately. How have things been going for you?" That thoughtful question may reveal that her granddaughter has been feeling overwhelmed at work, adjusting to a new responsibility, or facing challenges she never mentioned before. A conversation that could have been filled with misunderstanding becomes an opportunity for empathy, encouragement, and deeper connection. Curiosity also helps reduce unnecessary conflict because people are less likely to jump to conclusions when they are willing to ask questions before forming opinions. Communication experts often emphasize that one of the greatest emotional needs people have is to feel heard and understood. When someone senses that another person is sincerely interested in their thoughts and when experiences, trust naturally grows. This is especially important between generations, where different life experiences can sometimes create misunderstandings. Instead of criticizing younger family members for seeing the world differently, curious seniors often ask about their perspectives, experiences, and challenges. Likewise, younger relatives become more interested in hearing the wisdom of older family members when conversations feel respectful rather than judgmental. This habit strengthens friendships as well. Even friends who have known each other for many years continue to change over time. Asking questions about new interests, recent experiences, personal goals, or lessons learned keeps conversations meaningful instead of repetitive. Curiosity also benefits the person asking the questions because it encourages mental flexibility, a quality that psychologists associate with emotional resilience and healthy aging. People who remain open to new ideas are often better able to adapt to life's changes without becoming discouraged or rigid in their thinking. Practicing this habit does not require complicated techniques. It can begin with something as simple as asking one thoughtful question each day and then listening without interrupting or planning your next response. Instead of assuming you know why someone acted a certain way, invite them to explain their experience in their own words. This creates space for understanding instead of misunderstanding. The happiest seniors often discover that strong relationships are not built because they already know everything about the people they love. They are built because they never stop being interested in who those people are becoming. By replacing assumptions with curiosity, ordinary conversations become opportunities for deeper trust, stronger emotional bonds, and a richer appreciation of the people who continue to share life's journey alongside them. Perhaps one of the quietest habits that makes some seniors happier than almost everyone else is the way they end each day with thoughtful reflection instead of carrying unnecessary regret into tomorrow. As people grow older, they naturally accumulate a lifetime of memories, successes, mistakes, joys, disappointments, and lessons. It is easy for the mind to replay uncomfortable conversations, missed opportunities, or decisions that cannot be changed. However, emotionally healthy seniors gradually learn an important psychological difference. Reflection helps people grow, while constant regret keeps them emotionally trapped. Reflection asks, "What can I learn from today?" Regret repeatedly asks, "Why wasn't I good enough?" That difference may seem small, but it has a powerful impact on emotional well-being. Research in psychology suggests that people who practice self-compassion and constructive self-reflection are generally better able to recover from setbacks because they focus on learning rather than endlessly criticizing themselves. Imagine a senior who becomes impatient during a family gathering and later realizes that his words may have sounded harsher than he intended. A cycle of regret might lead him to spend the entire evening replaying the conversation, feeling guilty, and believing he has permanently damaged the relationship. Reflection, however, encourages a healthier response. He acknowledges what happened, considers why he reacted that way, decides to apologize if necessary, and reminds himself that one imperfect moment does not define his character. The experience becomes a lesson instead of a lifelong burden. This mindset also creates stronger relationships because people who reflect honestly are more willing to admit mistakes, make sincere apologies, and improve their communication without becoming overwhelmed by shame. Family members often respond positively to someone who says, "I've been thinking about our conversation yesterday, and I realize I could have handled it better." Such honesty builds trust because it demonstrates emotional maturity rather than defensiveness. Reflection is equally valuable during life's ordinary moments. Many happy seniors intentionally spend a few quiet minutes at the end of the day, noticing what went well instead of allowing negative experiences to dominate their memories. They may remember an enjoyable conversation with a neighbor, a kind gesture from a stranger, a peaceful walk in the park, or the laughter of a grandchild. This is not about pretending difficulties do not exist or forcing unrealistic positivity. Instead, it balances the mind's natural tendency to focus more heavily on problems than pleasant experiences, a pattern psychologists often refer to as the brain's negativity bias. By intentionally recognizing moments of meaning and gratitude, seniors train themselves to see life more completely, rather than viewing it only through the lens of disappointment. A simple evening habit can strengthen this perspective. Before going to bed, pause for a few quiet moments and ask yourself 3 questions. What brought me peace today? What did I learn about myself or someone else? What is one small thing I can do differently tomorrow? These questions encourage personal growth without harsh self-judgment. Over time, this daily practice helps replace emotional heaviness with quiet confidence, because every day becomes an opportunity to learn rather than another reason for some. Self-criticism. The happiest seniors are rarely people who have lived perfect lives or avoided mistakes altogether. They are often those who have learned to treat themselves with the same patience, understanding, and kindness they so willingly offer to others. By ending each day with reflection instead of regret, they carry wisdom forward while leaving unnecessary emotional weight behind, allowing each new morning to begin with greater peace, resilience, and hope.